Songwriting has been a part of her life.
You ready? You want to start? You want me to give a background? Let me start? Okay. So, the Campbells, we have 5 children, and Maddie is 14. We have Tori is 17, Maddie is 14, Emma and Elijah for the middle, and the youngest is Ike. Maddie was born out east in Pennsylvania, and we lived in a wonderful little community out there where when she was born, she was diagnosed with sensory integration disorder, and so we had her at the Snoozland centers a lot when she was growing up because she would routinely take off her socks and panties at school and her shoes and whatnot. So she's since she was a child, she's always had problems integrating sensory inputs, storing them, and then also just expressing and communicating. So a lot of her expressions and a lot of her feelings have come very much through song and music and poetry and kinetic energy and dancing and art and stuff. So very much like that, right? So music's really been a huge part of our life because it's allowed her to express her feelings quite a bit. We spent 4 or 5 years living overseas in South America, Egypt, and Thailand, and we were able to really have a great time with her from a music perspective as a family, integrating a lot of different cultural musics and stuff. So when we came back to the States 3 years ago, we noticed that she was having more and more psychiatric issues related to learning disabilities and mood, and so we went through about a 1.5-year process of trying to diagnose what was wrong with her because it was very, very subtle, and we thought it was just a learning disability. We thought it was, maybe autism, Asperger's. We just went through the whole spectrum over the course of a 1.5 years, and finally, a year ago, next week, she was diagnosed with a terminal illness called MLD. And her older sister was also diagnosed with the same disorder, and her younger brother. So 3 out of 5 of our kids were diagnosed with a terminal illness shortly after Thanksgiving last year. And what this illness does is it eats away at the myelin sheathing in the central nervous. I know you. How do I know you?
I don't know.
What's your name?
Mary.
What's your last name?
White.
I'll talk to you after. So this disease eats away at the myelin sheathing in the central nervous system and the peripheral nervous system, which with her older sister it was much more peripheral nervous system, so she would fall off her bike and it was very clumsy and stuff. With Maddie, it was much more psychiatric. So the only treatment was a bone marrow transplant because the enzyme that cleans out her brain and maintains the myelin sheathing is based in her white blood cells. So all 3 of them, 3 of our children went through bone marrow transplants in January, February, March, April this year. And it was
heinous.
It was horrific. First of all, to know that one of your children has a terminal illness and now 3 of them, and that we were both carriers, and it's a 1 in a million chance. And the chemotherapy exacerbated their disease quite a bit. It shrunk her brain by about 30%, and it just decimated a lot of the neural network. So Maddie she's very emotional, so and then there was small seizures because of the effects of the chemo and also of the disease itself. So this last 6 or 7 months has been difficult for her because she's had decreasing cognitive capabilities, yet at the same time, she still remembers everything she used to be able to do. So she remembers dance classes and she remembers hiking up mountains and things like that. So it's been extremely mentally difficult for her, as also her cognitive functions have declined. She can't really make sense of a lot of things sometimes. She's confused, she misinterprets reality quite a bit. And so we knew when we came in here, I think the first thing we did was call music therapy and we just got admitted. Our daughter's going through bone marrow transplants. And so Tony's like, all right, I'll be up in a bit. And so we knew that it was going to be extremely vital for Maddie's treatment while she was here to express and to make sense of things and just to be able to communicate in the way she always does. And then also sensor treatment, it's been difficult because she's gone back to school, she's not the same person, her friends don't know how to treat her. It's been really, it's been a living hell. I mean, I can't imagine what she's really going through. So, but music therapy, from the treatment, the healing process has been amazing.
Yeah.
1 second. While when she started the treatment, she had the radical chemo, so it was like around the clock for 4 or 5 days, and it was so disheartening for her. It was so harsh that there were many times she just felt like, I just want to give up. We even had her central line stitched in because we were worried about her just pulling out the central line. So what made the difference for her was knowing, okay, right after lunch or whatever, music therapy's coming in. And weekends were really hard because she didn't get that music therapy, but then every other day she did, and she would cling to that. So in addition to the therapeutic benefits just during the time, it was the anticipation and the reason to keep going during the day that made the difference sometimes between whether or not she'd make it.
Horrible. And mentally it was difficult for her to wrap her mind what was going on because she didn't go through any real invasive surgery or anything. She was just having poison dripped into her central line day after day after day. So there were two things that kept her going. It was the therapy dogs that would come in, and it was music therapy. And what did you tell her? What was it like to be in the hospital and have?
First thing, it was a hell. And the other thing that made it worth it was her music therapy. So when I got to music therapy time, I was like, yeah. But I felt like, man, this can be another day where we can make another song. So the only way I could express my feelings was by music. So I'm like, I'm having a bad day and stuff like that. And just recently, I made my own song and presented it to my school, and it made some people cry, and I don't know why, because it was just a song to let my family know that I loved them, because I said, like, Emma, you're the most beautiful girl in the world. And she's like, wow, I didn't know you thought of me that way.
Because you don't tell me very often, do you?
No. So, yeah, it meant the world to me to be able to spend time with these women.
It was really important. Well, I say important. It was extremely good for us to know that she could. So when we were here in the beginning, we were just doing different songs, and you guys were playing along, and she would choose whatever song she wanted. You guys would come and play it. But there was a turning point when she actually was able to take her own poetry and put it to music. It was amazing how it just so cognitively, and I'll have to say this, like cognitively, you can tell that she sometimes she struggles. Her older sister's even worse at just being able to. It's like molasses in there where it just can't come out. But there are moments of lucidity where it just flows and she's able to just express, and most of those moments have been in music therapy because we don't see them. I mean, when you come back to music therapy, you tell us what's going on. Can you explain that?
Well, so Madelena and Tori's mind, it's a very confusing place to be because all their connections are broken. But to have this place, like Erin was talking about, with the flow, which I'm sure all you creative types understand, it brings them back to themselves. Instead of feeling like a stranger in their own mind, they feel like themselves again. One other thing I wanted to mention that Erin touched on is that Madelena has always been an extremely creative girl. She was always making something or drawing or designing or just anything, and it was usually with her hands. And with the motor skill decrease, she hasn't been able to do that. It's only recently she started like crocheting and stuff again. So the loss of creative expression has been horrible for her because she had no outlet. She had no way to process her feelings, her grief especially, and so she was just bereft. She was at loose ends because she had no way to communicate her inner feelings. The music, it brought her back, and it actually took her from being kind of in this zombified state this summer when we started coming back here, and she was able to start working with Amanda again. She perked up, and she feels a purpose in writing, and it helps her rebuild her identity. So she is a creative person again. She is someone who can be an inspiration to others, which is extremely important for a girl who has been in a hospital bed for months and months at a time.
And in the healing process, I think from music therapy has been instrumental in allowing her to express herself and how she's feeling. And Amanda and Tony and them, they'll email it back to us, and then we'll end up sharing that with friends and family, and it really allows them as well to understand what she's going through emotionally, to understand how to better work and treat her. So even her teachers at school have heard some of these songs that she's written, and it's changed the way they interact with her because they have a deeper understanding from a more purely creative outlet how she's thinking and feeling, which is, she can go to the counselors and she can go to the psychiatrists and psychologists, but it's hard for her to communicate. It's hard for us to communicate that to them. So it bridges that, and it allows us as parents to have another tool to allow her to allow us to help communicate with the people in her life what's really going on and how she's really thinking and feeling. So, do you have any questions for her?
Do you want to say anything else about your song before we
I just feel like I should tell you how long this took because that made me so mad that it took that long to make that song because it was so long. So you can listen to it now and please don't cry.
If you do, we'll have sessions.
Emma, you are the kindest girl on earth. You give me the patience that I need. Eli, I love the noise that you make because it reminds me of home. I love and cherish you, and I never want you to die. Tori, I'm glad that you are alive, and you're trying so hard, so hard. One day we'll be up in heaven, asking who can we help. And till then life still goes on. Sometimes there's nothing that we can do, and life still goes on. Sometimes there are things that hurt, but we will still stay strong, 'cause we're a family, and life still goes on.
No matter how hard it is, I'll always take care of you, and I feel for you. And we're all going through this together. Everybody thinks it's hard, but we're just going through life.
Mom, I'm so thankful for you inspiring me, and for taking my side and not letting go. No matter what the cost is, you're always there for me. You're always there for me. Dad, I love the way you know things, and I love our dates. I want to say thank you for all that you've done, and not being upset when I'm mad. One day we'll be up in heaven, asking who can we help. Until then life still goes on. Sometimes there's nothing that we can do, and life still goes on. Sometimes there are things that hurt, but we will still stay strong, 'cause we're a family, and life still goes on.
Yeah, I just love my family more than they'll ever know. And that's all.
I'm sorry this happened. You didn't imagine your life with a disabled child. I know. I want you sometimes there's nothing that we can do, and life still goes on. Sometimes there are things that hurt, but we will still stay strong, 'cause we're a family, and life still goes on. Life still